There is an alternative syntax as well to define these routing related definitions. Let's try to explore the same. And towards the end of this lecture, I will explain you why do we have different kinds of syntaxes to define the same routing definitions. To use this second syntax, we need to import a new function from the React router DOM. This function name is createRoutesFromElements. So let me use this function. To this function, we can pass routing related information as an input. Here inside these brackets, I need to use a component with the name route. So let me import the same as well from the React router DOM library. Once it is imported, we can try to mention route here. It is going to have both opening and closing tag. Inside this route tag, first I need to invoke path property, and to this I'm going to mention / followed by we can invoke element. To this element, we need to mention what is the component that we want to render. The component that we want to render for the root path is app component. After the element, just like how we are trying to define error element here, I need to invoke the same property. To this error element as well, we need to mention the error page component name. So let me mention inside these curly brace. With this, now we have defined parent routing configurations. Under this parent, we can define any number of childrens. To define the childrens, we need to use the same route. So there will be an opening and closing brace. The first child route, we can mark it as index by simply invoking index. So with this child route will be considered as the index route. In the other syntax, we need to mention index as true, but here just mentioning index should be fine. After mentioning index, I'm going to invoke element. To this element, I'm going to pass home component. So let me copy this and paste it here. We can shorten this code even more further. We don't need this closing tag. Instead, we can mention the closing tag directly here itself. So now I have populated first child. Similarly, I'm going to populate the second child routing definition. So for the second child, we are going to mention path as /home. And to this, the element should be home. We should be good. Let me copy the same again. And this time, I'm going to mention this as about. And the component will be about. Let me create a couple of more child routes as well. So after about, we're going to have contact. And this is responsible to invoke the contact component. And towards the end, we're going to mention cart related routing configurations. So with this, now I have defined all my routing configurations. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 childs. The same applies here as well. So in total here we have 5 children. Since we forgot login related routing configuration, let me mention the same above cart, and here I'm going to mention login followed by we're going to render login component. So with this, now we have defined all the routing related configurations with the help of createRoutesFromElements function. Let me catch the output with a constant variable name as route definitions. The same route definitions we need to feed as an input to the create browser router. So what I'll do is I'll try to comment this entire code and I'll maintain this for your reference. Followed by I will try to take the same code and paste it here. And to this create browser router, we can pass the router definitions variable. And with this, my application is going to work very similarly as we saw previously. Let's try to validate the same. This is my application. I'm going to click on about. About component is being rendered here. Inside the dark mode, you're not able to see, but in the light mode, it is visible. Let me click on contact. This is working. Login is working. Cart is working. Home is working, and logo is also working. If I try to access some invalid path, the error page is also working fine. If you see, the application is working exactly same. The difference is only on the syntax that we use to define the routing definitions. Now you may have a question, why do we have two different syntaxes? Which one I should use? For a complex applications like real applications, please always use this approach because as you can see, the readability and the maintainability of this approach is very good. Whereas if you look at the older approach that we have used previously, the readability is very less, and for someone to understand this syntax, they should know that this is a array and inside the array we have so many elements. they should have a clear knowledge on JSON. Unless they know about JSON, they can't understand what is the square bracket, why we are trying to use these curly braces. That's why this syntax is usually used in a simple applications, but for complex applications or for real applications, this approach is recommended as the readability of the code is very high. By just looking at this, anyone can easily understand that this is the parent route definitions. Under this parent, we have many other childrens. I hope you understand about the new syntax that we explored. My humble request is to use this new syntax. The reason why I'm trying to explain both these two syntaxes is you may see both these syntaxes being used to a great extent inside the industry, especially if you try to read some blogs or documentation or some YouTube tutorials. You will see different people using different syntaxes, but with the discussion that we have done so far, I'm assuming you are clear about these two syntaxes and you also know when to choose which syntax.